Jonathan. So he says instead of undergoing the ordeal of lifting it, facing it again, I'll just find out whom to put the bill for. So it's probably there. So we got used to this. That also gave us certain amount of bias that okay, these are all areas and it. But then when I was prompted into going deeper, I actually saw the translation happening of a phrase like steel plant as lohe ka pauda. And I don't grudge that, nor do I blame that, because the person who was translating or may have translated it would not have known what is the steel plant about. And Google is too kind a friend sitting before you. You don't have to, these days he was speaking to spouses through the Google, because he would say the kindest words which you may not be able to say. So the gentleman in his all sincerity would have done that. It's not he to be blamed. So if we had a person with a scientific background, the background of the subject which is being translated, so I think equally also, now we would also be concentrating in creating a group of such resource persons who could create, because we cannot push translated books, because that again will be pushing a certain section of aspirants into disadvantage. Language. Leave aside the nuances of giving due respect and place to a language, which of course is one of our mandate, but besides that, from the point of view of livelihood, the point of view of career prospects, from the point of view of aspirational accomplishment also, if we are to provide a level playing field in a country as heterogeneous as India, we have to have these options available with us. Secondly, if you ask me, I think this has also been a strange twist of circumstances over the centuries that we landed up in a situation like this, where you and I prefer talking in English and also speaking science in English language, because the education policy of India in its modern version was formulated by Lord Macaulay, and therefore the entire syllabi and the curriculum got written in the language which was being spoken by the British. And since we were new into it, we had not many more options available at that time. That doesn't mean that if we were invaded by some other country, or we would have started speaking that language, but nevertheless, this was an incidental happening. Otherwise, you see some of the best science accomplishments happening in Soviet Union. They were the first to send a human being into space, and the entire exercise is done by the local language without even bothering or without having feeling the necessity of having the knowledge of English language. So they were the first actually in space technology, even ahead of America, even though America landed a human being first, but the first human being sent up was through Soviet Union. So also the case of Japan, even today you hardly, and the best of the science projects happening over there, even China. So what I'm trying to say is that it was incidental, it's a outcome of a strange sequence of events in the recent history of India. So now it is, I think, under Prime Minister Modi, time to actually redeem this anomaly which has happened, or this contradiction which has happened. More so also because most of the universities and most of the schools and colleges in most of the states in India today are imparting vernacular medium up to the highest levels of higher education, which was not happening earlier. Now you can do your post-graduation in Telugu, you can do it in Urdu. I come across youngsters who have never read a word of English language. Even in civil services, I think 4 or 5 years back we had one of the toppers, I think it was 4th or 5th topper in civil services all India, who had done his entire graduation in Telugu, because he came from a village and nearby the only college available was the one which provided Telugu medium. But then this boy had the urge to appear for civil services, and graduation was the minimum eligibility qualification, and he did that. So what I'm trying to say, the aspiration level of the youth of India 2021 has gone tremendously high, and it is now ready to break the barriers of language. You could imagine the aspiration level of this young boy that I'm referring to. His mother was a housemaid. He came from a lower socioeconomic strata. The aspiration was so overpowering and irresistible for him that he had to acquire.
And Prince of Kashmir and University of Kashmir, Tajassus. Tajassus, which can be translated into inquisitiveness, is a newsletter which will be published monthly, and we hope that this publication will continue for all times to come. In fact, one of the primary objectives of Vigyan Prasad is to infuse scientific standard, temper and thinking among masses by propagating and communicating science and scientific knowledge through local and regional languages. There has been a misconception about the fact that English language is the only language which can communicate things, especially things like science and technology. And it's widely believed that people who don't understand English language are less capable of understanding science. It's a misplaced belief. And India is trying to just show to the world that we have a language, we have a series of languages, a pool of languages which can be used as a medium for communicating science and technology. We know that the